Thanks so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thanks for having me.
Do you consider this proposal ethnic cleansing, to move the population of Gaza out of Gaza? The president suggests to parcels of land in Jordan and Egypt that Jordan and Egypt both say they have no interest in providing. Is it ethnic cleansing?
I mean, I don't think it's important whether I consider it ethnic cleansing or not. I think it's very clear that international law considers this as ethnic cleansing. It's the forced displacement of an entire population. But I think it's really important to go beyond that, beyond the declaration of ethnic cleansing. It's also a desire to continue the genocide that the Israeli regime has been committing for the last 16 months. Netanyahu wasn't able to drive the Palestinians in Gaza away after months and months of carpet bombing. And they weren't able to win militarily in Gaza. And so now Netanyahu is looking for a new way to secure that victory. And I think he sees Trump as his tool in that regard. And I think it's really important to highlight that in the face of all of this, Palestinians haven't been passive actors. They never have been.
You've seen today an attempt to sanitize Trump's remarks by his own advisors, Marco Rubio among them. Here's how the Secretary of State described what Trump, he says, was really proposing here. Have a listen.
So what he's very generously has offered is the ability of the United States to go in and help with debris removal, help with munitions removal, help with reconstruction, the rebuilding homes and businesses and things of this nature, so that then people can move back in. But in the meantime, they'll have to live somewhere. Now, the details of that, if it was accepted, would have to be worked out among multiple partner nations. It's a unique offer, one that no other country in the world has stepped up and made an offer. But I think it's one people need to think about.
Rubio says the people would move back in. That's not what Trump said. Trump said the U.S. would take ownership of it, develop into into what he called a Riviera that would be an international, unbelievable place. He didn't say rebuild this home for its own people. Do you buy any of this attempt to clean up his language?
I mean, throughout that press conference yesterday, we heard a whole stream of contradictions from President Trump. He claimed at one point there would be no rebuilding in Gaza, and then he claimed the U.S. would lead those efforts in rebuilding. He also said that Palestinians would have to leave, and then he said that Palestinians would continue to live there and that they would create jobs not just for a specific group of people. So it was a very confusing press conference, which I guess is the president's trademark. And I think there were moments that even Netanyahu seemed confused, especially when Trump put forward the idea of U.S. ownership over Gaza. But I think something's really important here. I think it's really important to highlight the fact that this proposal for ethnic cleansing isn't new. It's not something that President Trump can claim ownership over. At the end of 2023, we actually saw the Biden administration floating around this idea of forced mass displacement of Palestinians to the Egyptian Sinai. And there were even talks that involved attempts to bribe the Egyptian regime to take them in. So this is this proposal of US-sponsored ethnic cleansing of Palestinians isn't new. It's not something that Trump has conjured up. It's actually a continuation of US policy. It's a cross-partisan notion to indefinitely deprive the Palestinian people of their sovereignty and basic right to life on their ancestral lands.
So how do, well, specifically Jordan and Egypt, but how do Arab states respond to this? President Trump said yesterday, while we know that Jordanian and Egyptian leaders have rejected this wholesale, he thinks they'll come around. And of course, he has the leverage of U.S. aid, which is significant to both Jordan and Egypt. Will he try to pressure them into accepting Palestinians from Gaza? Will they bend or break to that pressure, in your view?
I think Trump will continue to put pressure on these regimes, but I think they've been all very clear that they will not take in forcibly displaced Palestinians from Gaza or from elsewhere in Palestine. And I don't think that's necessarily because of any love for the Palestinian people, but I think because fundamentally it would cause instability within their own regimes. And so as much as Trump can push and push and push, essentially that would lead to the destabilization of the region. So I think it's very unlikely that we'll see the Arab regimes cave into this proposal.
lost to some degree in the understandable shock at the president's Gaza proposal was another comment Trump made yesterday. He said he will make an announcement in the coming 4 weeks regarding the possible annexation of the West Bank. And I wonder, do you see that coming here, the U.S. giving the Israeli far right something it's wanted for some time to take over all of the West Bank, beyond, of course, the many parcels of the West Bank it's already taken over the last several decades via settlements seen as illegal under international law?
Well, you're right to point that out. Israel already de facto has annexed the West Bank. It controls over 60% of the West Bank in what's known as Area C, and it's incrementally been taking over more and more land. And the reality is that Israel controls the West Bank. No one goes in or out without Israel's say-so. And so I think this will be a gift to the Israeli far right, but the reality is that annexation has already occurred, and I think it's likely, considering what we've seen over the last few months and certainly over the last few weeks, what the Israeli regime has been doing in the north of the West Bank, which has been to clear out entirely refugee camps, to demolish entire neighborhoods. We've seen the expansion of the genocide in Gaza to the West Bank, and so I think this is a very likely step that this new administration, U.S. administration, will take.
And the president said it will. Yara Hawari, thanks so much for joining.
Thank you.